Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the channel, and today it is that time of the year again, just before the Premier League starts. I will be giving you my Premier League predictions from 20th to 1st, every single team, in depth, every single player who's come into each club. I will be giving you my honest predictions for the entire Premier League season coming up. We are about a week or two before the season starts, so there's still signings to come in, but I'm going to be bold, I'm going to put my dick on the table, slam it down, and give you my opinion, and every single one of them will be right. We did the same last year. I did Premier League predictions, and I got every single one wrong. But today I'm going to have to try and prove myself, give myself a bit of redemption, so I don't look like a complete idiot. By the way, if you can hear any background noise, like a fan or anything, it is my fan. It is like 30 degrees outside today, so you've got no other choice other than to hear it, otherwise I die. So, I get this video out with a fan, or if I turn the fan off, I'm dead. And no more videos ever. So you're going to have to just deal with it. I do apologise. So, coming in at number 20, which most people have predicted, so it's probably not going to be a surprise for any of you lot, it is Hull City. They have had 9 signings and they've lost 3 players. So they've brought in a lot of players, not really lost many. The only real players that they've brought in who I know is Jack Butland and Matt Targett. Not great players, really. Jack Butland was good years ago. He played for Rangers recently. He's nothing special. And Matt Targett, I don't know who he was playing for before now. The last time I remember seeing him play was at Villa. And again, he wasn't great. So for me, I just can't see Hull staying up. The squad isn't good enough in general. They haven't brought in players who are of quality to stay in the Premier League. They've signed a lot of players, but some players I don't know, so I can't really comment on. So I have no idea about Hull. I didn't really watch them in the Championship, but when I did, again, they wasn't great. They scraped through. It was a miracle that they actually made it to the Premier League. I'm pretty sure there was a stat where they had one of the worst XGs in the entire league. They was in the relegation zone, 4 XG. So if their XG matched how many goals they scored and goals conceded, they would have gone down. So realistically, they should not be in the Premier League right now, but they are. It will be a great season for them as it is because they're in the Prem. Happy days. They'll get a win or two. But Hull City could well on be to break the record for Derby County's worst points in a season. They will guarantee to go down, whether it's 20th, 18th, 19th, they'll go down no matter what. Don't think that Hull are going to stay up. In 19th, I've got a bit of a different one. This is probably a shock to a few people. I have got Nottingham Forest. Now, hear me out on this one. They've brought in 2 players. They've brought in some geezer called Schlader from Leipzig, who, again, I've never seen really play. They've brought in Diamande from Sporting, who's meant to be good, but I've never seen him play either, so I wouldn't really know. They have, of course, lost Elliot Anderson along with 4 other players. So they've lost a few players. They haven't really brought anyone in, and the players they have brought in, nothing special. The defence is probably going to be okay. It probably will, because they have signed Diamande. However, the loss of Elliot Anderson is absolutely huge for Nottingham Forest. I'm not being funny, he was their best player last season. They've still got Gibbs White, yeah, but Elliot Anderson, he was the structure of that team. He was the spine of that team, big time. And them losing him, it's going to throw him off the rails a bit. I think the squad's going to be a bit divided, especially considering they're going into the season as well with a new manager. It is Oliver Glasner. Did he do well for Palace? Yes. Do I see him doing well for Forest? Absolutely not. I do not. I don't think Glasner's a world-class manager. He definitely didn't deserve a Big Six job. He did well with Palace. He won him trophies. Yeah, but his football isn't good enough to go to a big team. Even Forest. Forest are a big club. They really are. The owner, Marianakis, he's not going to like the way Glasner plays. I'm really surprised he actually brought him in. I see Glasner either leaving or being sacked within the first 2 months. Before Christmas, I see this guy going, and then them scrambling to get a new manager, and I don't know who they're going to get. They're going to go through about 3 managers again. They did the same last season. And I think it's going to happen again for Nottingham Forest. I think they're going to finish 19th and go straight back down. In 18th is another Championship team, and I think they're barely going to get relegated. They will nearly survive, but they will just about go down. It is Ipswich Town. Now, they have brought in a lot of signings. They've brought in 10 players. They've kept most of the squad because they've only let 1 go. They've only lost 4 players as well, so they've kept most of the team. They've still got Jaden Philogene, players like that. And they've brought in some decent signings. Diop, Fatawa, Akpom, Lukic. They're just, you know, the best signings that they've actually brought in. Others that I don't really know. I think they will do very well, and I think it's going to be so tight. And I think they're going to be one of the best teams to go down in the last few years. But let's not forget, Kieran McKenna has left. He was their manager for a long time. He was the one pushing that team up to the Premier League, and he has left now, and they've got Gary O'Neill, who I'm really not sure about. I don't think Gary O'Neill's a terrible manager. I really don't. I think he did a good job at Bournemouth when he was there. So, he's not awful, but I just don't see him being enough to keep him up, especially because he's taking on a new squad that was all used to playing for Kieran McKenna. If Kieran McKenna's still the manager, maybe, just maybe, I have him staying up. But for now, I don't think they're quite good enough. I don't think the squad depth is good enough. So I'm going to go Ipswich 18th. In 17th is the other newly promoted side. Championship winners of last season, Coventry City. I think Frank Lampard will do just enough to keep them up. They have brought in 6 signings. Gustavo Hammer being the best one. He was probably Sheffield United's best player, but they wasn't great last season. So that's an okay signing, but it's not really about the signings. They've only lost 1 player, so that's not too bad. But I'm pretty sure Jack Rudoni is on about leaving to some other Prem team. I can't remember who. It might be Villa. But I do think Frank Lampard is a good enough manager to keep him up. He's a really good manager. We've seen he did well with Chelsea. Not good enough in the end for a Big Six team, but I think he will take Coventry and make them a good squad in the Premier League. And I think, again, they'll barely stay up. It'll be between them and Ipswich throughout the entire season to go down. And let's not forget, this Coventry team have been pushing for promotion for a long time now. It's the same squad that's kind of stuck together with the same manager. So I think together, they'll stick it out and just manage to survive. In 16th, to massively flop, I have got Crystal Palace. Now, they've got a lot of changes going. They've only brought in 4 signings, one of them being McNeil, which is so weird to me, how they signed Brennan Johnson just to do a swap deal with Everton to get McNeil in exchange. McNeil is not better than Brennan Johnson. He's just not. Brennan Johnson didn't do great there for a record transfer fee signing for Palace, but he definitely is a better player than McNeil. So I don't know why they've done that. Of course, they have lost Lacroix. They also brought in Tommy Asu, which I don't think is a bad signing, but they did lose Lacroix as well, which was probably their best centre-half after Gay left. So them 2 now gone, it kind of leaves them a bit loose at the back for me. Glasner's obviously left. Again, like I said, I don't think he's a brilliant manager, Glasner, but he works well for Palace. He did well for him. He got them back into Europe. And again, they've got Europe to deal with. So it's going to be hard for them to really maintain a good position in the Premier League all season, when I don't think the squad is that great. So it's for them to have to balance European football and the Premier League, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. The squad depth isn't good enough. And the quality in the first team isn't great now either. In 15th, I've gone Brentford. They brought in 4 signings, one of them being Callum Wilson, who I don't think is that good. He's not going to do anything for him. He's not even going to really play because Igor Thiago's there. He's probably going to play every game. They did let Henderson go as well, Jordan Henderson, which you might not think is a big let go, but he was obviously a leader in the dressing room and a big reason as to why they went so far. And for the majority of the start of the season, Jordan Henderson was a very good player for him. Them losing him, they're not going to have that leadership in the middle anymore or in the dressing room. Keith Andrews as well, I'm still not sure on. Yes, he did well with them last season. But is he going to do it again this season? I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure. So I think Brentford in 15th, they can still be happy with that. They haven't gone down. No, they're not pushing for Europe anymore. But you never know, they might go far in a cup or two. 14th, I've gone Brighton. They've brought in Viskovic from Spurs and Pascal Struijk. So for me, I think Brighton, the best part about them next season is going to be defensively. I think they'll be very on point. I think they've brought in good centre-halves. However, they have lost like Danny Welbeck, who was their main goal scorer, really. They've lost Brajan Gruder as well. And they've lost a lot of players. They've lost 11 players. Brighton have lost 11 players. They've lost a lot of leadership in that dressing room as well because of James Milner retiring. Half the squad is basically gone. And also, they've got European football now. They will probably win the Conference League. But can they balance that with the Premier League at the same with Palace? Probably not. Probably not. I don't think the squad's good enough to go any higher than 14th for Brighton. But they do always manage to be comfortable and safe in the Premier League. So I still think they should be happy with that. They'll get European football next season again in the Europa League because they will win the Conference League, let's be honest. In 13th is Newcastle. Now, I tell you now, what an absolute shit show Newcastle have been so far this season. Eddie Howe's just left literally a few weeks ago in the middle of pre-season after they got battered in a pre-season game. He's gone out the door. They've brought in a manager who I have not got a clue who he is. I don't have a Scooby who he is. He's a Saudi manager. He managed fucking Al Hilal or something. That's all he's done. That's his credentials. His credentials is Saudi League. And for some reason, Newcastle decides, you know what, who's going to replace Eddie Howe? Who's going to try and push us back to Champions League football? It's going to be this bloke who's never managed in the top 5 leagues before. Nice. What a choice that is. It's probably because of the Saudi owners. That is probably the only reason. They've got all this money that they can't really spend. They've brought in 5 players. Nobody in there is impressive. None of those players that I just looked at impressed me whatsoever. None of them. None of them have played in the Premier League. None of them are great. They're all pretty terrible. And you can't forget, they've lost Tonali, they've lost Bruno Guimaraes, and they've lost Anthony Gordon. Their entire midfield structure has gone. The only player remaining out of them is Joe Linton, and he's probably the worst of the 3 there. And as well, they've lost Anthony Gordon, who was their main goal-scoring threat last season, so they're not going to score many goals. Defensively, they're still okay. They've still got Malik Chow, they've still got Dan Burn. They'll be all right. But in the midfield and in attack, they're really, really weak. They really are. I do see players like Harvey Barnes and Alanga this season stepping up for Newcastle, and I feel like their wings is just going to be the only attack that they actually have. But I think they're going to step up enough to bring them to 13th. But still, it's going to be such a disappointing season for Newcastle. I think the fans will be outraged, and so they should be. It's going to be an absolute stinker of a season for Newcastle. 13th. 12th is Sunderland. Of course, they got European football last season. They are in the Europa League. Unbelievable achievement. But to balance that this season is going to be very difficult. So I think 12th is right. They've brought in Meunier and they've let 6 go. But the 6 that they've got rid of, it's no one impressive. And Meunier is a decent signing, a very decent signing. But they have kept most of their team, and I think what will help Sunderland out the most will be their home record. I think the home record is really going to help them out. Obviously, going to the Stadium of Light, it's really not easy. Only one team managed to beat them at the Stadium of Light, not to brag, but it was Liverpool. In our worst season of all seasons. So if they can do well at home, they'll probably comfortably finish around mid-table. Away, they'll probably do a bit worse. In 11th is Leeds. Now, I was really struggling on Leeds because I really didn't know whether to push them into the European places because I do think they're capable of that. I can see them going on a cup run in either the League Cup or the FA Cup as well. I think their squad is like, I wouldn't say mediocre, but it's not unreal, is it? Their squad isn't unreal. But the signings they've made so far to add to that squad, Harry Wilson, James Trafford, they are really good signings to add to that team. And I watched them in pre-season. I watched them against Man United, which they lost on penalties, but they got a draw out of. And I know pre-season doesn't really matter that much, but they also played Liverpool and beat us. I don't care about the result. The result is nothing to me. They could have beat Man United 7-0. It wouldn't matter. The football that they played in those games was actually really nice, and that's what you need to look for in these preseason games. The type of football that you're playing in each minute, and the type of players you got on the pitch during that time. They were playing really good football, which for me is so surprising because Daniel Farke, I really don't rate as a manager. I do not rate Daniel Farke whatsoever. I'm really surprised he made it through last season and he did as well as he did. And part of me wants to say he'll get sacked at some point and Leeds will do bad because of him. But the football they were playing, I just can't say they'll finish any lower. I think they'll do really well this season. They should be happy with 11th. They can push for Europe, and it really wouldn't surprise me if they do finish 8th, 7th, get Conference League or something. Bang on, the middle of the table, in 10th, I have got Bournemouth. Now, this is such a weird one for me, because part of me wants to say Bournemouth won't finish higher, they'll finish lower. Part of me wants to say that because they've lost the manager, they've lost Senesi, Krupi's injured for the start of the season. You know, it is going to be a difficult one, but part of me just thinks they're kind of becoming like a Brighton now, Bournemouth, where they just seem to manage to still finish in quite a high position for what they're expected to get. So I think Bournemouth will be the exact same. I don't really know much about their manager, who they've brought in to replace Areola, so I can't really comment on him. But for some reason, I've just got a feeling that I'll do well. You get feelings about certain teams, that they're just going to finish high for no reason. A lot of people could easily predict a drop-off, and in other years, I probably would do that. But we do that a lot with teams. We do it with Brighton. We've done it with Bournemouth before. We've done it with Villa. We've done it with Newcastle. Oh, they're going to drop off now because they've got European football. Bournemouth have European football, but I still think they'll be up there, and I really don't know why, but I do. They've still got the likes of Alex Scott. Krupi will be back at some point. I think Justin Kluivert's a really good player. They've got Ryan. So I think the structure of the squad is still quite there. And I think they'll play attacking, nice football still and just finish mid-table. In 9th place, I have Everton. David Moyes will take these lot that bit further this season. They could get European football, but I don't think their football is good enough. I don't think the football that Moyes plays is quite good enough anymore to get them into European places. They've brought in 5 players, one of them being Brennan Johnson, Norgard and Hayden Hackney. Hayden Hackney for me is a really good signing, really good player in the Championship. Brennan Johnson, like I said with the Palace thing, swapping Brennan Johnson for McNeil, that's a very good piece of business for Everton, and I think he'll do well for him. I really do. I think he'll be the new Jack Grealish, if you will. I don't actually know what's happening with Jack Grealish either. Is he staying at City? I literally have no idea. So with Everton, I think they'll have a really good start to the season, probably being in the top 5. It wouldn't surprise me, but I do think the squad isn't that much quality, and the football they play isn't quite good enough to keep them going for the remainder of the season. So I think they'll drop off, come down to 9th, and they still should be happy with that, really. And you never know, that could still be European football, judging on what happened last season with so many English teams getting European places because of the coefficient rankings. That could be European football for Everton. You never know. Now, in 8th place, if you watched my early Premier League predictions that I did about a month ago, and this will probably surprise you, I've got Aston Villa. In my early Premier League predictions, I predicted Aston Villa to go ahead and win the Premier League. That ain't going to happen anymore. Aston Villa have lost so many players. They've brought in some decent ones. They've brought in that man Zambi from Freiburg and João Gomez from Wolves, but João Gomez doesn't really impress me. He was the best player in an awful team, yeah, but that's not impressive to do. Do you know what I mean? Like Aaron Ramsdale gets relegated every season. He's still a good player for those teams, but he still gets relegated, so he's still not great, really, is he? And of course, you've got to talk about the losses. They've lost Morgan Rogers, their best player. They've lost Tielemans, arguably the second best player. I think Tielemans is so underrated, by the way. I think it's a quality signing for Man United and such a massive loss for Aston Villa. I think he was so underrated in the Prem and also in European competitions. He got him through a lot of European games. He controls that midfield. He links up well with the rest of the team. I think that's a huge loss for Aston Villa. They also lost Digne, which is, again, another loss. It's a leader in the dressing room. A lot of Premier League experience there, especially with Tielemans as well. And this isn't me coming at Unai Emery. I think Unai Emery is still such a good manager, but I think they still will drop off. I think because they've got Champions League football, it's going to deal with them badly a bit. They've done it before. They've had Champions League football before, and then the season after, they just dropped off a bit. And then the next season, they went straight back and won the Europa League and got in Champions League places. So I see him bouncing back the season after, but this season I see him dropping off a bit. And I do see him going far in the Champions League, getting to a quarter-final or maybe shock someone and get to a semis. In 7th place for my wild card, if you will, I have got Fulham. The fact Fulham have got Arbeloa, I really can't pronounce his name. The one who was at Real Madrid, their manager, how have they got him? Did he underperform at Real Madrid after Xavi Alonso? Yeah, but he was set up a failure realistically. He was an interim manager. He wasn't titled as an interim manager, but he was an interim manager. He was never going to stay out at Real Madrid realistically. Thrown into the deep end really with an absolutely dismembered squad. You got Tchouaméni fighting Valverde constantly. He was set up a failure. But Fulham, I think he'll do really well with Fulham. He's brought some lads that he likes from Real Madrid. He's brought in Gonzalo. Is it Gonzalo? He's brought in Palacios. Shea Charles from Southampton, which is a really good signing. They haven't really lost too many players other than Harry Wilson and Diop. And Harry Wilson is a loss. I do get that. But I feel like they'll somehow manage to replace him. And I feel like their attack is going to be really good next season. The defence, maybe not so sure. But I do think Fulham are going to go up there. I think the football they're going to play is going to be absolutely unreal. I think Craven Cottage is going to be very happy with the type of football they play. Just because of the manager. For me, Fulham are going 7th. They are going to shock everybody. In 6th place, controversially for most people, and I promise this is not biased, in 6th place I've got Manchester United. Now, for me, I just think Michael Carrick is the next Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He just is. Michael Carrick last season came in for Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim played a three-at-the-back system, tried getting them to play this complicated football, play people out of position where they're not meant to play, really, and they don't have a clue how to play there. All Michael Carrick did was come in, put them all back to basics, got them playing easy, nice football, and they did well. In a season where most other teams fell off, Man United capitalised on that. This season, I feel like it's going to be a very competitive Premier League season. The top teams are going to be unbelievable, and I just don't see them breaking into that. Yes, they brought in Tielemans. Like I've said, unbelievable signing. That is very good for me. They brought in Andre Santos, who is okay. He's okay. But I think Man United needed a proper number 6. I don't think they've even replaced Casemiro. Tielemans and Andre Santos is not a Casemiro type of player. They will not do what Casemiro did last season. So I don't see them replacing him whatsoever. We know Marcus Rashford's obviously coming back as well, but I don't think that really matters. I think their attack is kind of set. It's going to be Mbuemo, Cunha and Sesko. And I think Sesko will have a really good season as well. Lost a bit of squad depth for like Jadon Sancho and a few players, but there's no one important in there that they've really lost. The thing that also concerns me about Man United is their back line. I don't think their back line's quite that good. I think De Ligt's good, but he always gets injured. Lenny Yoro's good, but he's been injured before as well. Harry Maguire, he's all right. Luke Shaw, I don't think is good enough anymore. The right backs, Diogo Dalot and Mazraoui, again, not great. The full backs and centre backs, really not that good. So I think they'll really struggle defensively. I think they'll score a lot of goals, but they'll concede a lot at the same time. And Michael Carrick will probably be sacked by the end of the season. I do believe that. But I do see him going maybe far in the Champions League as well. But in the Premier League, they will just drop off that tiny bit and just miss out on Champions League football. 5th, I've got a team who I've made mistakes of predicting them this high before. I have got Tottenham Hotspur. Their business this summer has actually been out the water, and they're still going for more. If we're just talking about signings, they brought in 6 players, one of them being Tonali, Mateus Fernandes, Van Hecke, Andy Robertson, and Marco Senesi. They're 5. I think they've had the best transfer window out of anyone. There's 5 signings there who are absolutely unbelievable. Robertson, massive Premier League experience at left back. Senesi, good Premier League experience at centre back and a very good Premier League centre half, may I add as well. Also, two players that probably won't get injured too much, which they've had a lot of problems with the back line and the whole squad in general. Tonali gets injured a bit, so they might have to watch out for that. I'm not sure about Mateus Fernandes. I'm really not. He did well at West Ham, but the price they paid for him was probably too much. But I still think as a midfield partnership, Tonali and Mateus Fernandes, if you're going with a double pivot, two number sixes, that is a brilliant partnership right there. I think the midfield's going to absolutely run the show. They've got James Maddison back from injury, who's, again, I think is an absolutely crucial player for Spurs. He hasn't really shown much in the last few seasons because of his injuries, but I think he'll come back stronger this time. Lost 10 players, but the 10 players they lost was basically fodder. It was pure fodder. There was nothing about them, really. It's not really going to affect them too much. And I also think Roberto De Zerbi is a fantastic manager. I see him getting a lot of slate when he first came into Spurs, but he kept him up. He did his job. And I think he'll go into the next season very well. Spurs will have a cracker of a season, finishing the Champions League. Obviously, we know they haven't got Europe either to focus on, so they can put full focus into the Premier League season and maybe one of the cup competitions as well. In fourth place, I do have Chelsea. Now, Chelsea, for me, they've brought in, by the way, can I just say, they've brought in 11 players. Why did Chelsea do this every year? They're always signing players. They sign so many players. I think they've got a transfer ban next season as well, and it's probably their own fault. Stop bringing in so many players. They can't fit them in the dressing room. Some of them they've brought in's good, though. Obviously, Morgan Rogers, Maxime Lacroix, and that Palestra from the Serie A. He probably won't play every minute, but Lacroix and Rogers, they will start every game. And of course, you can't forget, they have got Xavi Alonso as manager. We haven't seen him in the Prem yet. He didn't do great for Real Madrid in the end, but I still think he did quite well. I think he got slated for absolutely no reason. We've seen what he can do with squads. We've underestimated squads as well, like Bayer Leverkusen. He can turn players into absolute machines. He's going to do wonders with Cole Palmer and Morgan Rogers. They're going to have crackers of a season because of Xabi Alonso. However, with Chelsea, I think the start of their season is going to be very poor. I see them losing about the first 3 or 5 games to start the season, but that's because of Alonso's system. Will it work in the end? I think it will. We know 5 backs and 3 backs don't really work in the Prem, but I think his will. It's just the start. It's going to take him a while to get used to it. They've conceded a lot in pre-season, which they've got to watch out for, because I do see him conceding a lot to start off the season. But I think over time, they will develop, they will get better, they'll understand the system, and they'll end up finishing 4th quite comfortably. I don't think they'll be in a title race. Maybe until about December. You never know, they could be in a title race. But I think they will fall off, they won't go for the title, and Chelsea will finish 4th comfortably. And I can see them finally winning the FA Cup or something. In 3rd place, I have Liverpool. Now, I'm probably going to spend the most amount of time on this one out of anyone because this is the one I'm most knowledgeable about. If it comes to predicting Liverpool where to finish, this is probably where I've got the most experience. I've got Liverpool in 3rd. We've brought in Ronald Araujo, Victor Munoz, Jeremy Jacquet. 2 good centre-halves right there. I like that. We've brought in centre-halves. It's what we needed. But Jeremy Jacquet isn't going to play every game. He's only 21. He's got to get time to develop for the Premier League. And that is exactly why I've brought Araujo in, so that he can start the first few games of the season and start eventually developing Jacquet to be a first-team player. That's why it's a loan, and we won't make it permanent, I can guarantee that, unless he has a cracker of a season. But I don't see that happening. I think he'll do well, but I don't think him being out of the water, I don't think he'll be better than, any of Konate's best seasons. Of course, we have lost Robertson, Konate, Salah. The Salah thing, honestly, I'm not too concerned about that. A lot of people will be concerned about that. Oh, they've lost Mo Salah. That's a massive blow. Yeah, it kind of is, yeah. But we basically lost Mo Salah last season. Mo Salah wasn't up for it last season, let's be honest. He did not want to play under the manager. So we basically already spent a season without Mohamed Salah. We're already kind of used to that, playing without him. We do need to sign a right winger. And I think we will. I really do think now we will get Barcola and he'll play off the right wing. That's why I've got his 3rd. If we don't get Barcola, we don't bring in a right winger, maybe we drop to 5th or something. I really do think that, because I think our squad overall is not good enough. I really don't. Keeper, we're fine. Right back, we're horrendous. Injury prone right backs, big time. We don't have enough depth there. We probably don't have enough depth for centre back still because of injuries. Left back, our backup isn't good enough. Midfield, we're very short. Wingers were dry. And strikers, to start the season, we only got 1, and he's also injury prone. So it is very worrying for me, the squad depth for Liverpool. I don't see us going and winning the Prem because of our squad depth. Liverpool are a club and a team that want to win every single competition. They want to go far in every competition. League Cup, final. FA Cup, final. Champions League, final. Premier League, title race. That is the expectation for Liverpool. So they're going to have to go for every single trophy. They can't sit out in any competition. Therefore, I don't think our squad depth is going to be good enough for us to go challenge for the Premier League. That is the reason I don't see us being up there, and I see us probably dropping off in about January. Maybe we go far in the Champions League. Maybe we get to a final of a League Cup or an FA Cup. And I think Iraola's football is really good. What I've watched in pre-season, the football, high-intensity pressing, it's going to be an absolute blast to watch. But the squad in general is probably not up to standard to what Liverpool should be to be pushing for a title. Right, now in second place, this will shock a lot of people, I have got Arsenal. Now, they've brought in 4 players, not great players in my opinion, other than Bruno Guimaraes. Bruno Guimaraes, unbelievable signing. They've also brought in that Tzolis, can't say his name. I don't think he's that great. I haven't really seen him play. I've seen him play in Europe a few times, but he's for me, he's nothing special. I really don't think he is. I think attackingly for Arsenal, they are weak still. They still are weak. Bukayo Saka might have a good season, but that left-hand side, very bad, especially considering they've just lost Leandro Trossard, which for me is a very, underrated player for Arsenal still. I know he gets a bit of traction now, and people do rate him a bit, but coming off the bench, he was so important for Arsenal last season. He really was. He was so important. And then losing him, they're not going to have that player to come off the bench and score 10 goals in a season anymore. They're not going to have that. And last season, they skate through a lot of games. They scraped through a lot of games last season. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that anymore. I really don't. And to see them winning it back-to-back both times, nah, I don't see him doing it. I don't see him going back-to-back. Don't get me wrong, they have got the best squad in the league. Depth-wise, unbelievable. They can go out in every competition and maybe win it all. But for the Prem, I don't see them going back-to-back winners. I really don't. I think the pressure gets to him even more now. I know you can say, oh, well, that pressure's lifted. It's not. There's still pressure on them because especially now everyone going, well, Arsenal, it's a free league title this year. All the big teams have lost managers. They're going in for a fresh new season, a fresh start. Arsenal are the only ones that have kind of kept the same squad together. So there is more pressure on them there. There really is. And they've been going at this Premier League title for this is the 5th season in a row with the same team. These players could be absolutely knackered now. They really could. Their mentality might not be there anymore, especially because we've just come off the back of a World Cup season. A lot of Arsenal players went to the World Cup. A lot of them did. A lot of them went to the World Cup, and they could be absolutely drained from that. They went far in the Champions League. They went far in the League Cup. They went far in the Prem. They was working all season. And then to go in the World Cup with the national teams, that's a difficult thing to do. I think they're going to be tired, and I think Arsenal are going to bottle it. I really do. First place is, of course, Man City. Now, yes, they've lost Pep Guardiola, and this could be a massive, massive drop-off. However, Enzo Maresca, I think he's going to be the next Arne Slot. I really do. I think he's going to take over that City team. He's going to keep it exactly the same because, let's be honest, he is Pep Guardiola 2.0. He learned from Pep Guardiola. He's one of his disciples. He knows how Pep plays, and he'll get that City team playing the exact same way. And I'm not being funny, they've got the best striker in the league, obviously. They still do. They've brought in Elliot Anderson, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. He's going to do well in there to replace Rodri, because Rodri's probably going to leave. But Erling Haaland, in that team, he's still going to score 25 goals in a season, and I think it will be enough to push them over the line and get them there. They're not going to be one of the best Premier League winners ever. Probably an 85, 84 point type of win. But it'll do. That will do for City. And I think it will just be enough to take them over the line. The only problems with City, they have lost a few players. They've lost 7 players. Bernardo Silva, John Stones, Mario Akanji. They're probably like the main 3. Especially Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva is going to be a massive loss for City. But City seem to lose players all the time. Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne, Silva, Rodri. Raheem Sterling, they lose all these players and they still manage to replace them, and it's like nothing's changed. It's like it's the same City team. I think Ryan Cherky and Erling Haaland will just drag them out the shit and over the line and push them just over, and Manchester City will be your Premier League champions of the 26-27 season. So that was a long video for me. It's probably one of the longest videos I've ever done. I did try actually going into depth for every single team, and I really did try and plan out this video as much as I possibly could to give it a good video and give it a good analysation, if you will, of each team. So come back in 8 months, 9 months time, and that table will be exactly as I predicted it. Probably not. Anyways, if you did enjoy this video, or if you didn't enjoy this video because you disagreed with any of my opinions, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you agree with. Let me know what you don't agree with. And of course, now is the famous line. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Turn the notification bell on so you never miss another video by me. Again, I will see you all in the next one. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.